It's a terrific Thursday here in Lagos. Hello and welcome to a fresh edition of Game On here on News Central Television. My name is Babatunde Koiki. Apologies for coming to you a bit late. Of course, don't forget that the 79th UN General Assembly is currently going on in New York City, and News Central is covering every inch of that. That's exactly what we do here at News Central, cover all the latest breaking news across Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Don't forget, we're also streaming live on YouTube, which means you can find us on any of your favorite social media channels, and the handles at News Central TV. And that means basically if you're in New York, you can pretty much catch up with what is happening back home here in Nigeria. Very quickly, it's pretty much a tight show tonight because we're running out of time. I have two great people with me in the studio. Ladies first, Onyechi Obaro comes through tonight. Onyechi, thank you so much for coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
And I'm always happy when you're here because the second person I'm about to introduce, you pretty much temper, pretty much douse his fire. I know, as a matter of fact. So I always feel a bit safer when you're here. Wale Adigun is in the studio with us as well. Wale Adigun, of course, you know, he's a broadcaster, podcaster, and is also the sporting director of Ughelli Rovers. Wale, thank you so much for coming through.
You probably should have added I'm a fire stoker as well, because since she's here to Dallas,
yes.
I'm a fire stoker.
Yes, so she's a firefighter, you're a fire stoker. Thank you so much. Okay, there will be no fires in the studio.
It's great to be here, and
Thank you.
It's good to see as well. Yeah, and let's have a good one.
Okay, so without further ado, let's quickly start with the news coming out of the world of cricket, where Nigeria is doing pretty well at the current ICC Under-19 World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria's women Under-19 cricket team will face the junior female Yellow Greens, will face their rivals from East Africa, Rwanda, in one of the semi-finals of the 2025 ICC Women's T20 Under-19 World Cup qualifiers on Saturday. Having qualified with a game to spare on Monday, the junior female Yellow Greens cemented top spot in Group B of Division 1 on Wednesday with a comprehensive 86-run win over Malawi, setting up the last four clash against Rwanda, who finished second in Group A. Nigeria eased past Malawi at the Gahanga Oval as captain Lucky Piety won the toss for the first time in the competition and elected to bat first. And the winner of the qualifying tournament will earn Africa's second ticket to the World Cup in Malaysia. And this pretty much feeds into what has the great things, the great strides that cricket has been having over the last pretty much half a decade right now. Don't forget that the female Yellow Greens also qualified to play at the last African Games as well in Ghana. So something good is happening in cricket, and I'm really happy about it.
Something good indeed, and you could see it from that, the performance that they had against Malawi and Rwanda. But they came up against Zimbabwe, a shocker in that game.
Yes, now that was big news because Zimbabwe is a test-playing nation.
Yes, so you can see that I was like, this team is going to shock Africa in this competition.
Let me just situate it properly. That Nigeria beating Zimbabwe is pretty much like, I would say, maybe Andorra beating Italy. Wale?
Yeah, I agree, but
football,
the difference here is it's not at senior level.
Yes.
It's a junior level where things are a bit level playing.
Okay, wait, hold on. In junior football, let's say under-20 football, can Andorra beat
No, of
Italy's
course,
under-20?
We've seen the likes of Liechtenstein, Luxembourg at junior level also mix it with the big boys. But I also am not surprised why, because a couple of years ago, the ICC rated our cricket as the fastest growing in Africa.
When the under-19 boys shocked the
so
world.
we've been making those strides, especially at that junior level. And even at the senior level, we haven't been bad as well. So I'm not surprised about what the junior Yellow Greens are doing. And the problem here is there's just only one ticket up for grabs. And you have to go in there to the final and win it for you to be able to get that ticket to the World Cup. I think it's in Malaysia next year. But they have surpassed every expectation. But once again, Tunde, this is testament to the great work the guys have been doing. Uyi Akpata was the president of the NCF, the Cricket Federation. They've put a lot of work. I mean, private, funds have gone into, preparation, funding, and stuff like that. So this is it's germinating, and I'm hoping that the Yellow Greens can just go all the way and hopefully bamboozle Rwanda. They play Rwanda on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Yeah, in the semi-final, and hopefully
they could make it to the final.
Cricket and rugby are doing wonderfully well. There are two sports that are growing and about to shock the world. I can't wait to see Nigerians going in the on the big stage.
Okay, and that's a very strong possibility. I would like to pretty much support these two sporting codes, cricket and rugby, because they might not get as much support or as much attention as the major sports like basketball, boxing and football. I beg your pardon, basketball, athletics and football, but they're doing tremendous things and making huge strides in the sport. Let's go to international sport now. And interesting, guys, we hear that promoter Eddie Hearn has revealed that Anthony Joshua is set to face Daniel Dubois in a rematch, and it's the most likely option at this moment in time for both fighters. Hearn revealed that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, the Saudi boxing chief, has expressed his desire to stage the Joshua versus Dubois rematch if both fighters want it. And from what we're hearing, and I just watched a video from Eddie Hearn earlier, just before he came into the studio, Hearn says Joshua is absolutely buzzing for it, and he revealed that Dubois and his promoter Frank Warren have already met with the Saudi boxing chief to discuss what could be next for the IBF heavyweight champion. Hearn also did reveal that his man Anthony Joshua, like I said, wants this fight with Daniel Dubois, seemingly also for the rematch as well, but it could happen in Saudi Arabia. Wale, let me come to you. But just before I get to you, Wale, we heard that Hearn says that his man needs a few more weeks to recharge his batteries and needs time to rest and recover as well as he should, because after the battering and plastering he received from Daniel Dubois, he really needs time to recover. Yeah,
but Eddie Hearn should choose his struggle. I think Eddie Hearn is just trying to be a promoter here, and that is what how he earns his pay. Because Eddie Hearn, 2 days after the fight, advised Joshua, do nothing, go on a holiday, wait till December 21, and we'll see what happens after
that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, but if he's saying that that's the next likely step, a rematch between Dubois.
No, it's not like it's happening tomorrow. He's thinking February.
But crucially, let's be very factual here. Whoever wins between Usyk and Fury on December 21, most likely maybe Usyk, there has to be a unification bout. That has to involve Dubois or whoever wins, December 21. And I think that is the bigger picture for Dubois.
It's all about... Okay.
I'm seeing another side of Eddie Hearn here.
Okay.
Eddie Hearn always wants to go for the money. But this is another side of Eddie Hearn saying, okay, take your time. Unlike the Eddie Hearn I know, he'll want to go for the money and really push for this rematch for Anthony Joshua to go up against Daniel Dubois. Remember the whole rematch between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua? It came so quickly. And I think that's what they want to play here. So I'm seeing a different Eddie Hearn saying, please take your time. Go make the decision, get to recharge your battery before you come back for this rematch. But Anthony Joshua is saying
Dubois already has said it. It's about who has the more money.
And exactly. And the honest truth is Anthony Joshua is the biggest draw in the heavyweight division right now.
In his winning effort, he got £3.6 million.
He can be the biggest or most lucrative option for Daniel Dubois. Sorry to cut you short, while, but we are joining us now from Los Angeles, our good friend Chinasa Ibonye. Chinasa, thank you so much for coming through. Sorry you're coming in late, but what do you think of this Anthony Joshua Daniel Dubois rematch? Should Joshua just pack it in, just go away, or is he still within the shot of regaining some semblance of a heavyweight title?
You know how much you and I love the sport of boxing, and after watching that fight, my man Joshua was beaten like a drum. And when things like this happen, sometimes in the fight game, it's better for you to take a while. It's not like the Andy Ruiz fight. The Andy Ruiz fight, you could say he was caught by one punch and he was destabilized, and it affected him all through the fight. This particular one, he was totally dominated, and he was beaten. We've seen when fighters like Lewis and Hashim Rahman, when Hashim Rahman knocked him out, we knew a rematch should make sense for Lewis because he was in that fight, he was winning that fight. But this particular one, I wouldn't advise Joshua to, quickly get back into the ring with Daniel Dubois. Maybe fight one of the lesser opponents, as a tune-up and get back into it, because he was totally outclassed. He was totally manhandled. He was, like I said, he was beaten like a drum. And I wouldn't advise him to go back into the ring with this guy. I think he should just, take his time, fight somebody else, maybe a lesser fighter, then come back and try and get this one. But at the end of the day, it's they are aiming for the money. It's a job at the end of the day. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back for the rematch. And
Oh, my producer didn't do it. That was a most unflattering picture.
hopefully, if he comes back and maybe he proves us all wrong and shows that that was a bad night.
Okay, that's exactly what Eddie Hearn is saying. That it was a bad night in the office. That it was just a bad fight. That sparring went well, camp went well. That it just didn't execute. But we must honestly give credit that to Daniel Dubois. While Anthony Joshua was pretty bad, Daniel Dubois was absolutely spot on the night. Didn't put a foot wrong.
He destroyed AJ. I think that's the worst beating AJ has taken, aside the Usyk fights. He totally dominated AJ and knocked him down severally before the referee had to step in. So yeah, but let's see. It's boxing. At the end of, like I said, it's all about money. They want to make money. So hey, if want to go that route, we saw it with Deontay Wilder after Fury dealt with him. He wanted to just jump right back in, and
we know how that panned out. Yeah, Chinasa, we're actually pressed for time, but thank you so much for joining at this particular point in time, because I really have to ask you about this game coming up. I think Thursday night, just tonight. Talk about the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Both of them trying to avoid a 1-3 start to the season when they square up Thursday Night Football, Week 4 at the MetLife Stadium. How do you see this one going?
It's first of all, it's a division game. They are both in the same division, the AFC East, the NFC East rather. And yeah, it's always going to be a tough game. The Cowboys have been disappointing this season. Everybody came in, we thought they would have a great season. We always talked about their defense, but their defense has been subpar, for the first 3 games of the season. They were battered by the Ravens last weekend, and the weekend before that they also lost heavily, to the Cardinals. So yeah, I don't understand what is wrong with the Cowboys and the Giants. Nobody gave them any chance, and they actually did well last week, winning the game. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, when you add the spice of a division rivalry, just like Spurs Arsenal, so form is off the table. Anything can happen. I would lean towards the Cowboys because they have a better team, but like I said, anything can happen in this particular game, and the Giants have shown that they are not just going to sit down and take it. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll be keeping our eye on that game. So go Cowboys. We're putting our money on the Cowboys because you said so. Okay, let's move very quickly.
Don't put your money on the Cowboys. They've been disappointing.
I put my money on the Cowboys already. You can't take that back.
They should win the game, but hey.
Okay, let's move on to some UFC now. UFC's parent company TKO Group has agreed a $375 million settlement in relation to one of the 2 legal cases affecting about 1,200 former UFC athletes. The group of former fighters claimed the UFC's contracts suppressed athletes' abilities to negotiate other promotional options, basically to move to other promotions, other MMA promotions. And TKO's group's initial settlement in March of 260, just shy of $285 million, was rejected by the judge, who said the figure was too low. And in a statement, TKO Group says it believes the new agreement addresses the judge's stated concerns regarding a certain case brought by a former employee, Kong Lee. And the new court date of the 3rd of February 2025 was set, and the settlement will now have to be signed off by the judge. And TKO Group maintained that they felt the original settlement was fair, but said it was in the interest of all parties to bring this litigation to a close, as the antitrust lawsuits had sought up to initially $1.6 billion in damages. Still talking about UFC now, there are quite a few Nigerians in the UFC. You all know Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya, but one of the least known but most exciting prospects is featherweight contender Super Sodiq Yusuff. The UFC star was in Nigeria recently, and he made time out for an exclusive interview with the sports team here at News Central TV.
define super. A common misconception, when people hear super, they think it's from Superman, but it's not Superman. I'm a big anime nerd. Super Sadiq is Super Saiyan. It's coming from Dragon Ball Z. A lot of people, when they see me fighting, they think I'm a big macho bravado guy, but I carry myself very humbly. I come from very humble beginnings, and I don't forget that. And before I even got into the UFC, I'm a big nerd at heart, so I watched a lot of anime, and when I see those guys on TV, I always felt inspiration from their stories, you know? A lot of anime is based off somebody starting off with humble beginnings and training and working hard until they become the strongest in the world, you know? So when I saw the UFC and I saw people fighting in real life, I was like, man, that's like the real version of WWE. You know, these guys are like, it's you against another man, is their will against your will, and the harder you work, the more likely you are of winning. So that's really, it's a very good correlation. There's a lot of us that are in MMA that you will find are big anime nerds. I wouldn't say there's one particular, but of course there's the cliches like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and stuff like that when you're coming up. But there's a History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. That one's not well known, but it's about a martial artist. He goes into a home where there's different martial arts masters that are teaching them different parts of martial arts. So it's very, very MMA specific. So that's another one I could think about. But anime, to be honest, you could throw a rock at any anime and find inspiration. That's one of the best things about it. As an amateur, I went undefeated. I had no losses as an amateur. And it was one of those things where my coach wanted me to stay as an amateur for a long time because he said he wanted me to lose first. You know, he was like, I want you to lose when it doesn't matter, so you know what it feels like before we turn pro. But the wins just kept getting better and better. So after a while, I was like, hey, one of my coaches said something to me, and he was like, do you want somebody to do what you're doing to other people to you for free? And I was like, no, I don't. You know, it's a lot of damage. So we turned pro, and from then on, it's just about climbing the ladder. I got all the way to the point where I had my first ever defeat. Then an organization brought me in to fight one of Conor McGregor's teammates, but they wanted me to come in and lose to him. They didn't know who I was. I fought all the way in Jordan in the Middle East. So it wasn't all the way until I was about to walk out, the promoter turns to me and was like, man, a lot of people know you. You're actually very good. I was like, yeah, you're about to find out, you know? So I beat McGregor's guy, and after that, Dana White called, and he was like, the best fighters in all the U.S., let's make them fight each other, and the winner gets a contract. And I was a big underdog in that fight, too. It was against Mike Davis. But I think that's, to this day, people would say that's the most exciting fight that they've seen, especially coming from me or on the Contender Series in general. And that's how I got to the UFC, and the rest is history.
First of all, I don't know anything about the fight. I've never heard it before till he got in there. So he was in school, college, and he started going out. In high school, he was doing the jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I would go there. That's just a child's play. Or mom would be there clapping. It's nothing. I wanted him to play football. So he went into the football just to please me. And he was like champion or something.
Yeah,
there too.
Captain.
And he was like, that's not what I want. So I sent him to the university. From there, he started practicing the jiu-jitsu. He just walked home one day. I said, Mommy, I'm going to the camp. I was like, what camp? He was like, yeah, I want to be fighting. I said, wrestling? That thing that they'll be jumping, hitting. He said, that is not real. This is MMA, and it's real. And I was like, hey, no, you're not doing that. No.
Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching Game On here on News Central Television. It's time to talk football now. And don't forget that two matches were played yesterday in the Nigeria Professional Football League. They were rescheduled matches, and Eimba Football Club of Aba continued their impressive start to the new campaign, defeated embattled Lobby Stars of Makurdi by 2-1 in Aba in that rescheduled match day 2 game. Chinedu Ufere opened the scoring for the People's Elephants in the 14th minute before Eku Toziam doubled their lead from the spot 2 minutes later. But then Lobby Stars were also able to pull a goal back in the 36th minute via Wahid Adebayo, but that was ultimately not enough for them. In Lagos, Rangers International got the better of debutants Ikorodu City by a lone goal. Ugweze Chinemerem's headed goal from Kazim Ogunle's exquisite corner delivery was enough to give Rangers the maximum points away from home. And the Elephants' victory means that UFC star Israel Adesanya won $4,000 on that match. I didn't know that you could actually stake on MPFL games.
Yeah, well, don't let me bust your bubble. There's a connection there.
Well, I know the connection. I know the connection.
He's a brand ambassador.
Yes, he's a brand ambassador for Eimba's shirt sponsor. Yeah.
Shirt sponsor.
Hey,
but quickly, I also find it a bit, it's a bit unfair.
How?
Drake staked about 450K
Yes.
on Easy, right? He lost, right? And here is Easy staking 4,000 naira or $4,000 on Eimba. I think he should have got.
But Easy lost $150,000
No,
to Anthony Joshua losing.
Drake lost 450K on Easy for losing. He's losing that for recently.
Look, Wale, the honest truth is that I don't have as much money as Israel Adesanya, and I don't have as much money as
Easy
Drake.
should have staked more on Eimba. That's what I'm saying.
That would have been easy.
Yes,
that would have been easy money. Easy money.
He lost a lot in the Anthony Joshua's.
Let's still talk to Nigeria football now. The executive committee of the Nigeria Football Federation on Thursday approved the recommendations of its technical and development subcommittee for that technical director. Coach Okosin Egwavon should continue in his role as head coach of the Super Eagles and lead the team to the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Libya next month. The 58-year-old in temporary charge of the squad, he had led 3 times previously, steered the 3-time African champions to a 3-0 defeat of Benin Republic and a scoreless draw against Rwanda in match day 1 and 2 that were played earlier this month. Egwavon and the current technical crew, which also includes Fidelis Ilechukwu, Daniel Ogumodede, Olatunji Barua, and Thomas Zorich, will also take charge of the Super Eagles Team B for the qualifying campaign for next year's African Nations Championship, also otherwise known as CHAN. Meanwhile, the same subcommittee also pretty much recommended that Justin Madugu should also take charge, continue to lead the remaining, continue to lead the Super Falcons, pending the appointment of a substantive head coach. Don't forget that Randy Waldrum has pretty much quit his post, and the Super Falcons' next big assignment, of course, is the Africa Women's Cup of Nations finals taking place in Morocco in summer of next year. We still have Chinasa Ibonye joining us all the way from Los Angeles. Chinasa, good move by the Super Eagles owners or handlers, the Nigeria Football Federation, keeping Austin Egwavon in place until they can find the money to hire the coach that they want?
The question is, do they have a choice? Because
bad choice.
You have a choice, because you're not able to pay the guys you want for now, and we don't know where you get the money from. So they don't have a choice but to go back to Austin Egwavon, who is always ready to to serve whenever he's called up to do that. So that it's not like they have a plethora of choices and decided to stick with Austin Egwavon. It's just what they have to do. So it's a need that they just fulfill.
Someone would argue that they even have less money than choice. But hey, it is what it is. But only a quick question to you: Justin Madugu, good choice?
Yeah, good choice. I remember that he was in charge of the Super Falcons when Randy could not make it down here to Nigeria to take the Super Falcons for that AFCON qualifiers, and they did very well. Remember, they also did well without key players like Oshuala, Onumonu, Ashley, who was injured at the time. So I think it's a good choice to keep him. He also wanted a job. He was able to get the players that were handy for him at that time to get the job done, to seal that qualification for the WAFCON. So good choice.
Good choice.
To keep him.
Okay. Well, so for this Monday, well, Wale, we are pressed for time, but very quickly, just your opinion regarding this.
I think that we'll know about this more next year, because I've always said it. Since I started watching the Super Falcons in the early 2000s, I've never seen the Falcons that organized, that tactically organized. Like, they look like a proper team. They look like a team that could mix it up with the best in the world.
Under which coach?
And that's happened under Randy Waldron.
Yeah.
Now you've jettisoned that due to some circumstances, and you've brought in Justin Madugu, who is enjoying maybe a new manager bounce, whatever it is. But that proper test comes up next year at the WAFCON, and we'll see what happens.
I kind of disagree. I
disagree that we've seen the Super Falcons tactically
This is the best I've seen
I
the
think it
Falcons.
was under, what's his name?
Thomas Dennerby.
Thomas
Exactly.
Dennerby. I don't think...
And you know what happened to Thomas Dennerby?
Yeah.
He was so tired of Nigeria that he pretty much
There are
quit.
even talks.
He quit a Super Falcons job, a national team job in
Interference.
Nigeria, and went to go and take an under 17
Was
job in
Dennerby the
India.
coach who went to the World Cup in New Zealand and Australia?
Was
In
Randy.
Australia, no, it was Randy Waldron.
Yeah.
Was Randy.
Did you see how organized we were?
Yeah, true. But
Did you see?
I
we
honestly
looked.
think
We looked the part.
Did you s-
England
Can
struggled.
you compare us to the
I mean, if
Olympics?
not for the red card, there's a feeling that maybe you could even have beaten
Can you
England.
compare that performance
Yeah.
to the Olympics?
No, our performance
When we
at the
played.
World Cup is still the best performance at the World Cup in a very long while.
Yeah,
and it up under Randy Waldron.
Okay, well, we will.
And with the Olympics, you can also mitigate
Wale-
that there were a couple of injuries here.
Yeah, true. But let's just leave it at this. But like you rightly said, time will tell
Time will
whether
tell,
these
yes.
were good appointments. Let's still talk about Nigeria football now. And Nigeria's Flying Eagles face a stern challenge ahead of the 2024 Under-20 Waffle B Championships, with the draw placing them in a tough Group B alongside regional powerhouses Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire. The draw conducted on Thursday afternoon revealed that the Flying Eagles, who are champions of the 2011 edition, will have to battle it out in a three-team group as they aim for a spot at the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations that will be played in South Africa. Interestingly, when it was played in South Africa in 2011, Nigeria actually won that. So there's a great impetus for qualifying for that one. Group A looks a bit more straightforward. Well, there's Togo hosts alongside Niger Republic, Ghana, and Benin Republic. The top two teams from each group will progress to the semi-finals of the tournament, which serves as a qualifier for that AFCON I talked about, which is scheduled for January 2025 in South Africa. And of course, that edition of the Under-20 AFCON will also double as a qualifier for the 2025 Under-20 FIFA World Cup, which will take place in Chile. Of course, Ghana also still struggling to find a place to play their upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Sudan. The Confederation of Africa Football are pretty much saying time is running out for them to come up with a venue for that game. It was originally scheduled, the match is scheduled for October 11th, and was originally scheduled for the Baba Yara Stadium in Kumasi, which is the only stadium in Ghana approved for international matches. But that has not, that stadium did not pass muster, did not pass the last FIFA, I beg your pardon, CAF inspection, and they are now in a struggle to find a venue. We heard the talks about they go to
They
Pabio
better
Stadium.
come to Nigeria. They
Yeah.
don't want to come to
No,
Nigeria.
I thought they had
They're great
found
hosts.
one in Togo. The story earlier this week was they were going to play in Togo.
Okay.
But maybe CAF hasn't gone over to inspect.
it, yeah.
Oh, I mean, we'd love to have them in Nigeria.
Exactly. We make excellent
Rub it in
jollof
their
rice.
face.
I know what.
I'm telling
And they
you.
can try the afang
Imagine they
too.
come down to Nigeria and they still lose.
See, Ghana will go all the routes without coming close
And I
to...
don't know why, but maybe they just feel
No, coming
ashamed.
to Nigeria is eternal banter. They will never
Oh
get
yeah,
out.
the fact
telling
that you
you.
know that you didn't even have a good stadium in your country that you had to go to
telling
Nigeria
you.
to
So
play.
Nigeria's out of your...
They won't leave that one down. International football now, Getafe's Nigerian midfielder Chris Santos Uche has criticized La Liga referees for failing to address the harsh treatment that he received from opposition players and has hit out at racist insults that he's also been subjected to from fans. The 21-year-old is in his first season in La Liga after joining from lower league side Ceuta and accused referees of not treating him equally to some other players. Getafe president Angel Torres believes that Uche made, I quote, a complete mistake to talk about the referees. He also blamed the journalists who interviewed the player and the Getafe press officers for not protecting Uche, who is not fluent in Spanish, though the interview was conducted in English. Uche also spoke about racist abuse he received from supporters, something that he said is a frequent issue at Spanish stadiums. Chinasa, I don't think this Getafe club president, I don't think he was, maybe he wasn't probably briefed about what happened, because if this is what he's saying, I think he's way out of order. A player is voicing, obvious concerns and things that he has endured and pretty much suffered. And an interview was conducted in English, which means that he knew exactly the questions that was being asked and his responses were on point. But he's now saying that, he had, it was a complete mistake. Also blamed the journalists who interviewed him, also blamed the Getafe's press officers. And this is the problem, I honestly believe, where the people... a lot of these European clubs really don't understand what racism is and how it affects non-white players.
Yeah, is it that they don't understand, or it's just something they don't take as seriously as we want them to take it? We've seen it. It's not the first time in Spain, in Italy. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. Black players. Remember Romelu Lukaku in Italy, in Spain. You've seen it over and over again. Vinicius Junior and all that. So it keeps happening. But the problem here is that nothing is really done. It's all a slap on the wrist for those teams, for the teams where their fans keep doing this. So yeah, Sadly, it would only continue until, stringent measures are taken, and they need to let the players of color know that we are really behind you guys. It's not all, the superficial things like kneeling down and all doing all that. No, when you hand over stringent punishments, fines, take out a serious amount of money from these clubs, where hit them where it affects them. If you really want to make a change, but. For now, I just think most of the times we'll just pay the Europeans, especially the Spaniards and the Italians, they pay lip service to this whole talk of
totally
racism.
agree. I totally agree with you.
So,
It's just lip
it's sad,
service.
but that's just the reality. That's what it is. It's sad, but that's what it is.
Really sorry to cut you short, Chinasa. We really have to go. But before we go there, Europa League matches are currently being played tonight. Tottenham Hotspurs are currently leading Karabakh by 2-0. They have a red card. And also results there on your screen. Fenerbahce bouncing back from a loss to city rivals Galatasaray over the weekend. Defeated Union Saint-Gilloise by 2-1. Malmo also lost by 2-0 at home to Rangers. There's also Ajax, who are currently leading Besiktas by 4-0. AS Roma also leading Athletic Bilbao by a lone goal. Braga also losing at home to Maccabi Tel Aviv. Victoria Pilsen have equalized in their game against Eintracht Frankfurt. That match is 3-3. And of course, Steaua Bucharest are beating RFS 4-1. Olympic Lyon leading Olympiacos by 2-0. Like I said, Tottenham also leading Karabakh by 2-0 as well. Thank you guys for coming through. Wale Adigun, always a pleasure to have you on the show. And Onye, thank you. Thank you from saving me from Wale tonight. Thank you.
I wasn't much.
Chinasa Ibonye, all the way from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us tonight again. We'll see you next Thursday, right?
Pleasure. Yeah.
The Cowboys are better with my money's on that game. But before we go, how many of you guys have ever watched a game of ice hockey? Well, it can be exciting, but also exceedingly violent. And believe it or not, that's one of the reasons why it has so many fans in North America. And in an all-Canadian NHL encounter between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames in January 2014, the two sides didn't even bother with the pretense of playing the game before brawling. Just 2 seconds after the opening face-off, all hell broke loose as 8 players were given fighting majors and game misconduct, meaning that they were all ejected from the game. They were sent off. And the altercation kicked off when Calgary put their bruisers on the ice to get the game underway. As a response, the hosts also brought in their own group of tough guys to get the game underway. And underway the game most certainly did. Just rather than actually hitting the puck to start things, they threw off the gloves and just threw down. They started throwing blows. And in the end, the Canucks eventually ran out winners at the Rogers Arena. I don't know why they call it ice hockey. They should just call it fighting on ice.
Modern damn
Fighting, yeah. Damn day on ice. That's our show tonight. Game On makes a return tomorrow again for the Friday evening edition. My name is Babatunde Koiki. Wishing you a wonderful evening.